Alrighty. Tripled up on you guys. Today we are going to be talking about the new Supreme Magnificent Battle and just the new fights in general, because there is some talk, right? And when there is some talk and we can gauge community feedback, I think this is sometimes when Dokkan is the most fun. So today, this is going to be one of the few videos that we do today, and that is going to be asking you guys, do you think that power creep went too far with these new fights? Now, let me go ahead and pull them up. I don't know why I didn't in the first place, just so you guys can have an understanding of what I am talking about, so I don't just sound like I'm saying a whole lot of nothing, right? So if we look at this here, specifically to get started, we have Gohan, who is doing 4 million attack normals. Turn one, not 4 million because of you hit him, right? Not 4 million because, or on like the first attack and then it goes down. Just a raw 4 million normal on turn one. And he does a super for 11 million on turn one. Now, who is somebody that is kind of comparative to this or is like a little bit watered down to a degree? Let's go ahead and go over here to everybody's favorite event, if I can find it, the Festival of Battles. If we go to the Festival of Battles and we look at, just some enemies that you fight around, I don't know, turn 50, 48, 3.7 million normals, and a 12 million super attack. 3.3 million normals, 11 million, right? But keep in mind how many enemies you fight before that. Before you get to this, is this enough time to build up a character so maybe they can deal with that? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But you know what this is? This is turn one. 4 million on turn one. So I may sound negative, but this is just kind of an idea that I want to gauge with you guys, right? Do you think this was too much? 4 million attack turn one and 11 million super turn one with a 50% chance to just hit you right away, right? Was that too much? That's the question that I asked in this tweet, basically. How are we feeling about these new fights? Too much or just right? Asking for a video, so let me know your thoughts. Now, let me just say, the strategy to beat these, if you guys are struggling, is run the Omega Shenron team and bring Fat Boo for his revival and Ghost Usher. And if you have the tech androids, you can bring them as well. They felt like the most well-equipped team to take these out. But it is a more underlying philosophy thing that a character like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta feels unrunnable in this content. To me, that is a problem. He came out 2 weeks ago. Not 2 months, not 2 years, 2 weeks ago. And there's nothing he can do against this. He just gets destroyed. And this isn't like an easy A, right? This is a brand new headlining LR, the most exciting character from GDC. And in the hardest content that they've dropped so far, unrunnable. So I'm not a fan, right? Let me just say that right off the bat. But let's go ahead and get into some community responses just to get that started. Omega is king. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. If you guys want some team builds, we could take them from Mr. Juan here. We got the Omega set up with him, the Omega set up there, and the Omega set up there, right? And I didn't even show Trunks. We'll talk about that in a little bit, right? And then I said Gohan called me lagging today, and then I did get the no item run like an hour ago. So I've seen a lot of people say that almost every character in the game except for Omega in the blues. Do you think this statement is potentially a reach, or is it possible that Dokkan is setting us up for an unpredictable future with more difficult content? I think that the way that I'm really seeing this, aside from, I did say some negative things to start the video, but what I do think this is a nice way for them to highlight characters with different strengths, where it's not that every fight is just like, oh, do you have guard and damage reduction, a high percentage of damage reduction? Okay, you're good, right? That is just always what you're going to need. Instead, this gives characters to shine light to, oh, do you have a turn one revival? Oh, do you have a Ghost Usher, right? You have this mechanic. Can you action break on an active skill turn one? Can you action break on your 12 key? Can you action break on your 18 key, right? On 24 key, do you get an action break? Do you nullify a blast super, right? Nova Shenron, I actually found to be very good in these new fights because of the blast supers. But that is something that I think is an interesting perspective for it, right? Where you get to highlight different characters that have different utility, different strengths, different ways to be ran, and different strategies to take down events. I think variety in the content is the most important. Where I think it gets a bit toxic is where you only say like, okay, the only fight that we care about now is this one, right? And I think the problem with that is that we just know Dokkan is not going to drop. Every character that releases from here to the 11th anniversary is not going to be geared, like, is not going to be designed to destroy a 4 million normal, is not going to be designed to tank an 11 million super. Basically, what they would have to do is they just always have to be great chance to dodge characters, right? A chance to nullify and counter, right? Chance to dodge, chance to nullify, chance to counter, all of those things, chance to revive. That is really the only way to sort of work around specifically this fight. So if we are going to use this as the bar, I think this could potentially become a little bit of an issue, considering that we, you know, don't have as many tools at our disposal other than like this one team. Like if you don't have the Omega team in here, good luck. You're just dealing with dodging, right? Like that's really what it comes down to. So I think that it's like it's tough, right? Like it just also depends on if you use items or not. I guess that's also important. But Dokkan is setting up for an unpredictable future with more difficult content, but that's always been the thing, right? Because we've always talked about how it's like for difficult content, what are we expecting, right? Are we expecting a dramatic change? Really, the only time we see that is during stuff like Worldwide / GDC and Anniversary. So this is typically the time for when they decide to do these big jumps. So this isn't like the most surprising thing. And I believe that an unpredictable future has always been the case in terms of content and the way they set it up. The siblings bond mission is unbearable. Otherwise, I like it. Haven't really tried that yet. I did do the bond of friendship mission, but I have not done siblings bond yet. So otherwise, I like it. Nice. I mean, I like a challenge, right? I think what's good about this challenge is if you lose in 30 seconds and it's over. If you win, it takes 5 minutes. And I don't hate that, but the only thing I would change in that design philosophy is the limited attempts, right? You open up the thing, you don't get a slot 1 character, you don't get Majin Buu right away, maybe you don't get either of the Omegas on the rotation, you lose that run. And that's a little bit frustrating. Hard power creep like this when we just got new units is crazy. Feels like a waste of stones. I know we're in a gacha game, but this feels like Dragon Ball Legends level of power creep. I would say yes and no to that statement, because we say Dragon Ball Legends power creep, but Dragon Ball Legends power creep is have the new LF at Red 2, or have the new Ultra potentially at Red 1, or just have the new Ultra, right? Or you don't get to play. And in this case, let's just look at this guy's clear, for example, in the Gohan team, right? Not that this is like the frame of reference, like you always have to have this. Now, is there a level of pull the new unit, otherwise you're in a bad spot? Yes. Omega, right? But like, it's Dragon Ball Legends would require you to have like a Red 2 Omega, right? Or a 79% Omega. But if we ignore these two characters right here, and Rose, I don't even think like you need to run that character in this stage. I think you can get away with other characters. You could run Fat Boo here. We have a 2022 sub EZA, right? Who did EZA this year, a 18 Super EZA, maybe even 2017. I don't remember when this character came out. A long time ago. That's the idea. A very old Super EZA and a free character. Right? We look at this other clear. We've got a 2024 character, a 2020 character who got an EZA the celebration, a super EZA, and then a character who came out in 2024. So is this just all the new GDC characters slopped on the one team with some Zenkai buffs, quote unquote, right? No. It's you have, older characters with different utilities. But like I do understand where you're coming from, where it's like, if you guys want like an example, I know this is a little off topic, but blue UI Goku from the 7th anniversary of Legends transforming UI Goku almost feels unrunnable with the Ultra Frieza running around. So if you were somebody who dumped, all of your CC into that banner, and then we can use the cross comparison, if you dumped every resource you had into the Gogeta 4 banner and you walked away with him at 55% and he doesn't feel usable in this new content, that's a kick in the nuts, right? I don't like that, like at all. But to say this is Dragon Ball Legends, I think is a bit aggressive. No wonder they removed dodge canceling. Maybe the devs played the event and couldn't clear it. Honestly, this bit right here, I guess we can click on it and highlight it. Tinfoil hat, I don't think they do. They just design them and they go. That's my opinion. But Too much creep. New units feel trash sometimes. Yeah, I think it's a bit aggressive for sure. I just got hit for 13 million by Goten. What are they feeding these kids? Push-ups, sit-ups, and plenty of juice. Considering the only headliner LR I have is Gogeta, I hate the Gohan fight. Yeah, I would definitely understand that perspective. If you don't have the Omega team, you are definitely struggling a little bit in this fight right now, but it's also possible with like a Fuse Fighter / Pure Saiyan setup. The issue is you're just going to need a lot of dodge RNG. Just horribly designed fight, big, boring numbers with no fun to it. Just turn 1 with 5 million normals. Yeah, we talked about that earlier right here, right? I mean, even with the attack debuffing, it's not going to be enough, right? Like 35% of this 4 million is not just going to make it a cakewalk, right? Like most of the time, if you don't even get the chance to hit him if he gets you with a slot 1 super. So I think that can be a bit of a problem and a bit aggressive. It's a little frustrating that dodge is once again basically a prerequisite for the hardest fights. Really wish characters like Rose, LRVT, and Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta could at least somewhat tank the hardest hitting supers. Yeah, to me, there's no reason that Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta should not be able to handle the hardest hitting supers in the game right now, right? Just from a design philosophy, from a standpoint, the numbers should not be cranked up so hard that a headliner that came out 2 weeks ago feels unrunnable. That, to me, that's not healthy. I don't like that. For sure. I definitely get that perspective. AGL MUI, Broly Trio, Tech Androids, and Fat Boo Food. Yeah, but like, that's 100% valid, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's just, to me, not good design for an event. AGL MUI being back, I'm an AGL MUI glazer. Y'all know me. That's like my favorite unit ever, right? He's back. I'm rubbing my hands together. You know what I mean? But I also can understand the context of if a fight is based around Fat Boo and the Tech Androids, it's just silly. Right? And they die in like 2 hits, and if not, you could just debuff them into oblivion with AGL and STR Omega. Yeah, I agree with this specific sentiment. The problem is I just think that's way too specific of a build, and it's like that you could say the same for almost every fight, right? I feel like most of these teams do not have a chance in this event, where you look at this fight right here, where it's like, where's the special battle at? Like, the special battle, you can run a multitude of teams in here, right? And get away with it. It could be difficult, but you can get away with it. Locking, always toxic, right? But there's sort of a counterplay here where you can potentially work around Goku Black and not buff him and stuff like that. So yeah, you might have had an easy experience using the Omega team, and we know how to beat it at this point, but like a one sort of trick pony team, I just don't know if that's a sign of like a healthy design for power creep, where it's like, you just like a lot of characters who just came out are not good in it, right? Just because the fight has an easy thing, I think there is a toxic level of power creep here. Does Gohan even have damage reduction? No, he is very, very, very squishy, right? 50%. He is very, it's just really, it's not even the damage reduction, it's the HP, right? 350 million is extremely easy to get through. So just keep that in mind. I don't particularly care about power creep. I'll toss an item and forfeit every dream of no iteming them until the 11th anniversary for the sake of my sanity. That's it. Well, the beauty of this, Marco, is if you have the Omega Shenron team and sort of the optimal setup for it, you don't even have to worry because the no item run for it is actually not too bad. Just a little luck based, that's all. When in an event, the new character implodes, it means something is wrong. For me, the event is a failure. I should never feel forced to use the item. I should be free to decide whether to use it or not. Besides, this way it's not even fun, it's just frustrating. I will say a very frustrating element of this fight is if you do get like a horrible setup turn 1, it's the combination of this fight being tricky right away and that being exacerbated by the fact that we have limited attempts. I don't think if this event had limited attempts, it would be as bad. But to me, the limited attempts are just a bit too aggressive. It's a great design, but they went overboard on Trunks and Gohan's damage turn 1. Cut it by a third or maybe more, then it would be fair to players because as it stands, you need the new characters to even stand a chance. Well, unfortunately for you, my friend, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is just not good in here. So it's even with the new characters, you need a lot of tech characters, right? Not like tech attribute, but like revival characters, Ghost Usher characters, debuffing characters. It's just a different style of fight for sure. But I think that the numbers that they did here, it's a little bit too much to me. It's really, for me, the big issue is that Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta doesn't feel good to use anymore, and he just gets absolutely shredded by these. And I don't know if that's healthy. That's all. People complaining because Gogeta isn't one turn activating the boss like Tech Super Vegito was doing during the big year 10. I can't even enjoy the fights. People are just saying G4 is gone, Tag Blue's better, but just enjoy the game. What are you trying to get at? People complaining because Gogeta isn't one turn activating the boss. Well, if you could get to Gogeta's active skill and protect him, he would be able to do the damage to get rid of Gohan. But the problem is he can't take a super. He can't even take a normal. If Gogeta can't take normal, something went wrong, right? A super, fine, right? Like, okay, a super tags him, right? The boss rush super can tag him, right? But like normals, he came out 2 weeks ago. So just a bit of a problem, just over the top, but again, enough balance to the point where I feel like it's healthy. It's not too unhealthy to the point where the game is unplayable, but it's also like just not that enjoyable to me because the fight is over in 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Like if the run goes right, this fight's over in 3 minutes. I think the fight is good, but just a bit over the top with the 11 mil super out the gates. To me, it's more of the normals that are the problem to me because at least with this super, there's a little bit more of a way to get around it other than dodging. You can nullify it, you can counter it. But with the normals, it's just like he does this super and raises his attack and then hits you with these unbelievably hard normals. So to me, it just seems like something went wrong or they just did not like test that at all. Like a 50% attack raise to 4 million normals. Are they crazy on turn 1? That's all like that. That's it. Like, what are we talking about here? Right? Attempt limits on stages, hitting 10 million plus turn 1 is a very odd game design choice. Yes. The problem with that just simply lies in the way that they have designed these fights. From past iterations, right? Red zones had limited attempts. They just never got rid of it. Supreme Magnificent Battles up here just had limited attempts and they never got rid of it. Does it make sense? No. I don't know why they did it, but they did it. So it's just one of those situations, very bizarre. I'm not really sure why they would go ahead and do that, but they did it. That's really what it comes down to, right? So limited attempts, always been cringe, always been stupid. I've never been a fan of limited attempts. It was actually really fun during like the anniversary where they allow you to have unlimited attempts, right? This is always just, easy. Remember, guys, this is just the first of 3 stages. Imagine 4th and onwards. I would have to look at the event information. I think with this being part EX, these are all the only stages that we're going to be getting because GDC will be over. It just depends on when they decide if they want to update them. Maybe in the future, but we'll see, right? And units could be way more well-equipped to deal with them right now. Even right now, we have a team that's extremely well-equipped to deal with it. So just keep that in mind. Not gonna lie, they're beating my ass. Yeah, you and me both. I didn't beat Gohan on the first try. I had to wait till reset today. Twas fun. They clearly wanted you to use dodging characters at the start because no one is tanking those starting supers, or rather, almost no one. I liked it. I will say I like how long the fight takes. I am definitely of the opinion of this. No. This, no, thank you. This amount of phases, yeah. Right? But there comes a limit to it, right? If you're going to give me this, don't give me this, right? It's very hard to find that medium. It really is. So, people are overreacting. The new fights aren't really hard since they die so quickly, but they'll kill you just as fast. Omega completely obliterates Gohan, and I'm fine with having fights that are made for some units to dominate more than others. Yes, I would agree. The issue, like I said earlier in the video, is how, as a community, are we going to be evaluating characters? Are we going to just lean on like, oh, you aren't like perfectly optimal for the Gohan fight, then you suck? Or is it going to be, oh, this character is really good in the Gohan fight, but this character is really good for the special battle. This character is really good for something from Seriously Serious, right? Something that's good for the festival, something that's good for like the Jiren fight, right? Just all these different shapes and varieties and flavors of different content in this game, I think is really what it's going to come down to. And I sort of like if we can just collectively agree that it's like the bar is not just the Gohan fight, right? But I think that's probably where we're going to go because just a community as a whole, typically what we do is we find the hardest fight and then that's the bar and that's it. And it's like, yeah, this fight is harder in a sense that another fight may be different. This fight is hard in a much more a much different way to how this fight is, right? Where this fight has a lot of easy ways to sort of get through the character offensively, but this stage has a lot like more tricky of a time getting through them defensively because of the damage reduction, because of the locking, because of the healing, right? The immunity to some of the debuffs. That is why these fights just have different flavors of variety and different ways to be difficult. And I think that if they're going to make a character designed for stage 1 of the special battle or the festival of battles, I don't think we should just say, oh, this character sucks because they're not good in here, because clearly they just weren't designed for it. And I think that is when the game is at the healthiest, when there are different metas, different ways to evaluate it. I had a ton of fun doing tier lists where it's like, this is my festival tier list and this is my red zone tier list, where the tier list for this fight and this fight are completely different. So that is sort of like where I'm at with this in specific. So just wanted to sort of keep that in mind when we're talking about this specific stuff, right? So yeah. Really not a fan of them, as well as some of the missions, like the STR team mission against a seriously super boo fight is impossible to build a proper team for. You can't damage him enough to stay ahead of his healing. Well, your boy is, I guess, the greatest player of all time because we got that done. The way that you could do it is run like a Kamehameha STR setup and then run a Tech Vegito friend and you can get through it. Maybe there's a reply in here that has it, but I'm not going to look. I thought my game was bugged, LMAO. Surprising to see them hit so hard. It's fine, though. Dodge reigns supreme. I get that. I think they should abandon the red zone battle format. What do you mean by that? Like the hard, like just hard fights altogether, or the limited attempts? Probably the limited attempts. 3-turned it after 4 tries. I think I'm done. Yeah, like, if you win, this is what your experience is going to be. You beat it in 3 turns. Omega and Rose might be top 2. Omega's team just destroys these stages. Yep. Omega team overall right now is one of the best ones. Yeah, isn't that incredible? What do we got here? We've got a GT bosses no item. Yep. Definitely the way you want to go if you want to get the no item run, especially. We need more GT buffs to ensure the Omega top 1 agenda. Is it not just this right here? Like, he's good for new fight, like he's decent for the new fights. He's decent for the new fights. These characters are all decent for the new fights. We need more GT bosses buffs to ensure. Yeah, we said that. My bad. Yeah, the Boo Usher. Yes, sir, Pat. Let's go, dude. You get it. Fight is insane. I feel like you need Fat Boo and the tech androids if you want to no item it consistently. Yeah, but that's also like not the thought process of the devs to be like, how can people no item this consistently? Right. Gimmick fight. Yeah, I'm hearing that on Twitter. To me, the thought process that I've always had with that word or that terminology for characters has always just been that gimmick, every fight in Dokkan is a gimmick fight, no matter how you split it. How is this is a gimmick fight because the boss gets their HP back and they lock you, right? And they deal damage to you at the start of the fight. That's a gimmick. This character gets stronger as you hit him. That's what the character Goku Black is known for. That's his gimmick, right? He gets stronger as he fights. When you damage him, he gets all excited. He's like, oh my God, you're so strong. I love this, right? I'm getting stronger. That's like how basically he's talking during the Goku during the fight. He's like, incredible, right? And that makes it a gimmick fight. This Gohan is a gimmick fight. This super itself is a gimmick, right? Where you have this buildup, right? You debuff him. He's got super hard normals. That's basically a gimmick. This character has a gimmick, right? A guaranteed spot for a super attack and buildup, right? We could do this all day. The Festival of Battles is a gimmick fight because some of these bosses have normals and countdowns and supers in specific spots. Some of these guys can nullify supers, right? All of these different fights, I believe, are gimmick fights. We talk about the Peppy Gals fight from, what was this, 2024, right? 2024, I think this came out last year. What is this? The Bulma fight. It takes away your ki, right? Depending on the phase you get is going to depend on whether or not the super hits hard or not, right? The buildup that they get. These are all gimmick fights. That is what Dokkan's difficulty is based around, boss gimmicks. So I think saying a gimmick fight, this is more in the sense like being used as a derogatory statement to say that the fight is invalid. It doesn't matter. But I don't think that's a healthy way to approach it. I think that this character, this fight just has a gimmick that's a bit silly and maybe we don't use it as the bar. But if I had to guess, I think the community is going to use this one as the bar. So that's why it's a bit frustrating. So just wanted to say that. All the complete people complaining are just mad they can't slot one Gogeta and win all content. We have so many different fights right now and so many different good teams that you have to select the best units for each fight. Gogeta team still amazing for the Gohan fight. I disagree with that. Who on the team can take a normal? Nobody. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta with like damage reduction and like 77% damage reduction in Rainbow Orbs, right? No, I don't think that this team is amazing for that fight. Not at all. People are complaining because the game, an RNG slogfest where the bosses do inflated numbers with no real counters unless you use a certain character or do shenanigans. Horrible design for a fight. You think bosses doing 12 million turn one. Don't complain when bosses are doing 20 million. Not everyone has options or every units otherwise, so you're low-key just yapping. Yeah, I disagree with this. I'm not mad that Gogeta can't go slot 1. I'm mad that Gogeta can't take a normal. And he came out 2 weeks ago. That's what I'm upset about. It's not that Gogeta can't be a slot 1 tank. It is what it is with that sometimes, right? But I get it. Tech Android's victim. Level 1, too easy. Level 2, too easy. Level 3, from too easy to really good thanks to the Step Bro mission. Sure. I hear you. It wouldn't really be that much of a problem if we actually had some top tier units that feel good 99% of the time. You know who feels good 99% of the time and that 1% is this fight? Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. You know who feels good 99% of the time? I mean, we could just do this, right? Who feels good 99% of the time? Omega Shenron, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, the Blue Boys. The 1% is when they don't dodge, right? Not these guys is so much anymore, but like Tech Vegito when he came out, Tech Broly when he came out, Beast Gohan felt good 100% of the time when he came out. This is the 1% right here, right? We have units that are good 99% of the time. It's the 1%, that fight right there. Invalidating most of the GDC units a month after they released is a horrible feeling. This feels like 11th area power creep, not what we needed right now. I could definitely see that. Way too much. We went from a well-designed fight that only became a top 1 unit killer in turn 3 to 4, to an immediate 12 million super event. That's not good. Terrible fight. I honestly do like these events. They're very difficult, but still give players options to beat them easily with items or other gimmick units like Int Boo. Also, the blues are insane. What do we got here? What's he doing? Type advantage, just going to work on Trunks here. Yeah, but like, this is also a Mickey Mouse turn because you were able to do this in the first place, right? Like a slot with no attacks in slot 1. I guess that's actually more common in this fight. I shouldn't say that. Personally, they shifted power creep insanely fast. We went from needing to tank stuff to either dodging it or you will lose. I do think that these events are fine. It's just how fast of a turnaround Dokkan went with. Yeah. It's such a good MJ picture, dude. It's always like, this is in the context of these guys. You know what he's trying to say here, right? Or it's just like, you know, Trunks kid, right? Like 17 million, 5 million normals. Very hard fights, but the counter to them is just hit them back. Attempt limits will make this event feel worse than it actually is. We've been getting one shot since the beginning of the GDC, but there was no limit till now. Sure. STR Blue, no, Omega is still here, right? As a player of the game for literally 9+ years, we'll make this the last one. Of the game, not a fan. On one hand, the boss has a ton of HP, so you can blitz and erase the boss fast. On the other hand, a turn 1 12+ million super and crazy normals makes them even the best slot 1s feel like ass. Omega taking 500k was ass turn 1. Yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to for me, where you have characters that this is not a character that came out 6 months ago, right? It was funny. We'll stay here, right? It was funny when like the blue We Saiyans Have No Limit character, right? They started to age out because it was like, haha, let's all point and laugh at We Saiyans Have No Limits, right? When Raditz was getting destroyed by the quest mode, it was funny to be like, haha, let's all point and laugh at Raditz. But these are characters that just came out. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is 2 weeks old. The Blue Boys are a month old, right? And normals are a tricky spot for them if they don't dodge them. So I just feel like it might have been a little bit too much, a little too fast. But I want to know what you guys are thinking. Are you enjoying these new fights? Did you get through them easily? That, again, is a huge context to this here, where the Omega team does make this feel a lot easier. You can debuff the hell out of this Trunks, right? Both of these Trunkses. So keep that in mind, that it's just a very gimmicky sort of fight. But as I said earlier in the video, you know what else is a gimmick fight? Every fight in Dokkan. So just keep that in mind, but really let me know how you guys are feeling about these new fights in the game. It is just the way that things go right now. It's tough to gauge, right? I think that overall, I like the fact that we have different varieties of fights that are able to do specific things. That's a really important way to keep the game alive with different ways to do it. But I think this may have just been a step in the wrong direction, a little bit too aggressive of a reset for my liking. So again, let me know what you think down below. Leave a like if you did enjoy this community reaction, all that fun stuff. Let me know if you want to do more of these, and follow me on Twitter if you want to stay up to date with content like this, right? It's a good way for me to interact with you guys as well as make some different types of videos. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you were new, and I'll see you all in the next one.